I'd like to introduce you to another episode of Fashion Unzipped, and our guest speaker today is the City Manager, Ann Doherty. Welcome, Ann.
Hi, Sheena. Great to be here.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to have you, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today.
No, I think it's really important to be here with you, supporting local business, really important part of the fabric of our city.
Thank you, Ann. I appreciate that. And could you like to tell us a little bit about your journey to your now position of CEO as the City Manager in Cork?
Yeah, it's kind of been an interesting one, Sheena. I grew up in a farm in Limerick and always wanted to be a nurse. So when I left school, I trained as a nurse in Cork, which was my first introduction to Cork, and qualified in the 80s when there was no work because of the recession. Had met my Cork boyfriend, now husband at that stage, and off we took ourselves to London, where we were for 10 years, had great experiences and opportunities to do things there. Came back in the 90s, 97, with two little boys at the time, and started working in the Irish health system, which I've worked in up till the 8 years ago, but in lots of different roles across hospitals, change management, at a national level. And then 8 years ago, I applied and was successful for this amazing job, which is the Chief Executive of Cork City Council. It's
an incredible role, Ann. I mean, honestly, and what are kind of in the world we're living in and the environment we're living in, challenging times. I mean, it must be quite a pressurising role, but I'm sure you've got huge passion for it also, do you?
Yeah, and I work with great people. Yeah. And I think that's no more than yourself and your business. It's the people that really make the difference in having a successful organisation. So there's 1,500 of us, public servants, paid for by all our taxpayers to deliver services right across the city. But I suppose it's the diversity. It's absolutely enormous. So, for example, this week, like Monday was Innovation Conference with people from Deeper. Yesterday was Local Innovation here with you. Business in the city today. This afternoon is climate stuff. Tomorrow is age friendly. So the variety is just fantastic.
But it's wonderful how you support all the different, businesses, all the different roles. Like you have to diversify to so many, don't you? To adjust to so many different.
But I suppose it's all kind of interconnected, isn't it? Because in order to have a functioning city, it needs a functioning economy. That economy is local as well as international. So from the small Indigenous businesses, which is really our unique selling point, your business, other people like you who've taken risks across the years to keep going through thick and thin. And then obviously we have the multiples, but also we've all the FDI companies bringing a real variety of people to the city. And I think that's then the offering is what's really, really important.
Yeah, and it's a growing city. I mean, there's so much potential in Cork City. I'm very passionate about Cork City. I suppose I'm 31 years now trading in the city, and honestly, it's been a roller coaster.
Yeah.
But we're still there, and you know what? There's great business out there to be there. It's there, but you got to bring it in.
Yeah.
Like every business, really.
Yeah, and you have to work at it, isn't it?
What you put into it, you get out of it.
Yeah. But you need support as well. And I suppose, from the City Council's perspective, we have a role in ensuring that the place is very special. So trying to improve the public realm, the pedestrianisation of the city, but also the vibe of the city. So what we did after COVID with the pedestrianisation of the streets, the alfresco experience, because I think cities are different to shopping malls because it's about the culture, it's about the hospitality, it's about the retail, it's about, so it's that experience piece. And coming into Christmas, obviously, that's going to be really important.
Very important. And is there something bustling, anything exciting happening now that will bring people into the city this Christmas?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I think Christmas is magical anyway. So we are going to have Christmas lights, contrary to some commentators.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
We all need that. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Great.
And I suppose, look, we're all very mindful of the energy crisis, but I suppose it's really important to assure you and your listeners, like all our Christmas lighting are LED. So, they're energy efficient, and also they are only on with the, the light, the natural light, so they come on and off in association with dawn and dusk, if that makes sense to you. So we will be having our Christmas lights. We will also have Glow is back again this Christmas. So the Ferris wheel and the experience in Bishop Lucy Park. But this year we're trying to expand it a little bit so that it becomes a wider Christmas experience. So working with other providers in the city to have a programme, whether it be from the Everyman or the Opera House or different hospitality, because it's not just one set of things, it's the multiple coming together.
Absolutely.
So that's going to be really important, and there's going to be some stuff from City Hall as well. So like it's kind of back to that, I suppose, traditional Cork Christmas, and obviously we'll have our marketing campaign, which is the one that we ran there for the last couple of years about Thank Cork It's Christmas. So that'll be back.
Very exciting, and that's great to hear, Anne, because I think people need to be aware that there's going to be so much happening in Cork City, and for all age groups, all generations,
and that's
all
the point,
tastes, which is really important.
Yeah, and that's why I suppose the Glow Festival, as it was, and the experience for the smallies is important as well. But then I suppose Cork's intergenerational, so we do need to provide for all age groups,
and all types, all national, I suppose, all tastes and flavours, really.
Absolutely, and it's very multicultural. We've 100 different languages spoken in our city.
It's fantastic. It's absolutely.
And some days you stand, don't you, in Oliver Plunkett Street and close your eyes. You could be.
But even as a trader in the street, there's days when you've all like the mix of different nationalities coming through our stores is absolutely fantastic. And I also feel when the cruise ships, I know they've stopped now, but we did phenomenal out of the cruise ships this summer. They brought a lot of business into Cork City. The first time ever, that I've experienced trade from these cruise ships. Yeah,
it's interesting, isn't it? And I suppose it depends, on where they originate from, isn't it? That people have the capacity in their luggage, because I think if you have to fly to get on one, it's harder. But it seems there were a lot that
a lot of business came out of it, and I felt that it was a different generation. They were younger, and the clientele was a different generation than normal, and they wanted to shop. Now it was just wonderful for Cork. I felt we gained hugely from the cruise ships this summer.
And I suppose we're very fortunate. We have a great organisation in the Port of Cork who work very hard with that cruise business, supporting the berthing capacity in Cove, and Cove itself as a town has done a huge amount. And then the link into the city now. We had ambassadors going onto the cruise ships. Now we couldn't put them on because of COVID, but we continue to make sure that people, and I think that's what we saw as well. There were far more people self-directing off the cruise ships rather than jumping on a bus.
They were getting on the train, they were coming to the city, and it was just, we're very fortunate actually to be so close to Cove and to have that link, as you said, the train link. And we certainly, as traders, I felt as a trade, I gained hugely from that this summer, which I was thrilled about.
Yeah, and I suppose the English market,
it's a huge draw.
It's a huge draw,
And our famous Pat O'Connell.
I know.
Everybody wants to go and see that famous picture with the Queen, which again is
well, he's kings and queens now, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Now that, so it is. And I mean, our British tourists are very interested in their royal family, and they love to visit the places that they go to. But I suppose, in places like the Crawford Art Gallery, which is a free to entry venue in the city, only national cultural institution outside of Dublin, which is sad to say, but it is another great destination for visitors, because I think people like the experience, and they're doing opening late in the evenings now. And
it is a beautiful experience, it really is. But as I said, we have, and also the actual the English market is a stunning experience. I think as a stranger coming into Cork, walking through the different stalls or the local produces, it's just a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
So we are very fortunate. We have a lot to offer in Cork.
We do. And like every city, we could always do more. Like that's absolutely inevitable. But I think we have to work together to address our challenges. We do have, like every city, we have people who are vulnerable and find themselves in very vulnerable positions. I suppose I'm particularly speaking to those who find themselves homeless or people with addiction. I'm not suggesting they're both in the same group, but but I suppose it's how do we work together to support those communities. We've a very strong voluntary sector in the city who provide accommodation for our homeless population. We try to support people not to rough sleep in our city because it's unsafe for them. So there's an outreach team. They work really, really hard. And in the context of people with addiction, I suppose, we have our drug and alcohol services. We've outreach workers out on the streets. We collectively now, not all of this is City Council. So it's really, really important. And I'm mindful coming into Christmas that, and we had this a couple of years ago, if you remember, there was a kind of a proliferation of on-street begging, and it was an organised begging. So I suppose for all of us, if we want to support vulnerable citizens in our community, we should support them through established charities rather than maybe supporting a begging racket, excuse the language, you know, so I suppose for all of us maybe to reflect on that at this time of the year. There's very strong state services to support our vulnerable, but there are people who take advantage, and we saw that before, but we work very closely with the guards. So I suppose for me it's very much about we should invest and support our state services, and if we want to support vulnerable people, that's the best way to do it.
Okay, so what you're more or less saying is that just be careful who you give. If you're saying,
well, you know, food is probably better if somebody wants something, or a cup of coffee, as you know, but I mean, it's probably safer. And then obviously for the organised begging that has happened, we work very closely with An Garda Síochána, and they've been very successful in getting prosecutions for that. But you know, it's one I think we all have to be very on top of.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, I suppose with the downturn, you know, in the economic crisis, there's a lot of buildings that are just derelict in the city. How could we, as a community and as a city council, you know, help to try and work to kind of make that better?
It's a really complex issue, as you know. I suppose not every building that's vacant is derelict, which is important, you know. So we have vacancy, and some of that is economic, some of it is around individual groups acquiring property in the city for redevelopment. I'm just thinking of the Pennies development, massive development for the city, but a lot of vacancy around Pennies is associated with that. So that's one part. And then there is properties that are very distressed. So we do have provision under acts of legislation, the Derelict Sites Act, but it's slow. It's a slow burner to actually bring properties back, because often those distressed properties, there's ownership issues, etc. And we would prefer to work with owners to try and bring them back. And we have some examples. Obviously, you saw the Munster Furniture site down in North Main Street that's been converted to student accommodation. There's a site in Barrack Street that is going to be housing, social housing. So like there is some activity, but it is a concern for all of us. But again, I think it's about how we work together. And I suppose the priority is to fill the vacancy. You know, and that's, I suppose we've seen some new brands come in, haven't we, in Patrick Street recently, and we'd love a lot more.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the more businesses in the city, obviously it'll bring more people, attract
absolutely,
more people in.
Absolutely. And I know some people would say, why is a retailer saying bring competition? But sure, it makes you...
Competition makes you stronger and better. We all need competition. But I think it just brings more people into the city, and I think all the streets in Cork, Frederick Street, Oliver Plunkett Street, all the side streets, even where Clancy's are, all that area now is a great foodie area. Even like McCurtain Street has become a real foodie street. My God, look at the change in McCurtain Street in the last couple of years.
And the worst public realm you could imagine. But anyway, we're working on it.
It's fabulous. You've got every type of restaurant. It's just a really go-to place. You know, you can go for the theatre, you can go for pre-dinner, press, theatre, go drink afterwards. From your wine bar to your cocktail bar. It's really, I must say now, I think what McCurtain Street has become just a fabulous street.
And that was driven by the traders on the street?
That's exactly, now you just took the words out of my mouth. So I think that's inspirational.
It is. I know they've organised themselves and got themselves together. Now there's a massive project for McCurtain Street, as you know, where the traffic, I won't mention traffic changes, but anyway, there will be some, you know, there's going to be disruption before it gets better. It will change it and wider public realm and make it a far more pleasant experience. Like at the moment, there's a 2-lane dual carriageway running through it nearly, isn't there? So we're going to move that to 2-way traffic, which slows traffic down, but divert a lot of traffic off of it, and then obviously improve all the streetscape with more planting and better, you know, which will make just a big difference.
And actually, being honest with you, I think all the traffic at the moment, people are just adjusting. So there's a chaos at the moment.
Is there? Everybody's struggling.
But I think people, it's just familiarity. You know, when you're familiar with the route, you just have to slow down, and we're always so busy. We're rushing here, rushing there. You're not thinking. But we just have to stop and think of where we're going and what route we're taking. And honestly, there's a lot of nice shortcuts now through the city since we have redirected the traffic. I've gained 1 or 2 of them myself. Always last
Don't tell anyone, or you'll have a load of other people.
Rugby training up at Christians, and I'm, you know, over Patrick, the bridge.
you turn left now. That
is for me, that's a lifesaver. Thank you, Anne.
No, and I suppose like disruption, and I know we have to work together about this as well, because sometimes, as you know, before, Sheena, when there was changes, everybody's at each other's, oh my God, it's all terrible. Like, we have to talk as one voice together, talking about, we want to make our city better. We're going to do it together. We all have different roles in it, and sometimes there will be a little bit of disruption before we get there. But that's okay, as long as we can all see the end point, which is actually something better. So, I mean, obviously a big part of this is better public transport. So for people to have that choice, because at the moment the choice isn't there, because the public transport system can't operate because of the congestion.
Yeah, and that'll make a huge difference.
And so that many of us will hopefully choose to change our patterns. There will always be a need for some of us, some cars. Not for me personally, but just for people to have car access to the city. But the more and more people that avail of public transport, it will become a nicer place to be, because you can see Oliver Plunkett Street when there's no cars. It's a very different experience, isn't it? People milling, people having coffee, people in and out of the shops.
But it's made such a difference. Like, I think it's, even though the outdoor eating and dining, the coffee shops, people are gathering. It's actually a lovely environment during the day when the weather is nice. And even, it's funny, because even when it's raining, people are sitting outside having their coffee. We've adjusted to this.
There was always that, wasn't it?
But it's really great, because I think it's changed. It's changed a lot of cities around in Ireland. It's made a huge difference.
And all over the world. I mean, I've sat lots of places where it's been raining outside.
But we always did it abroad. I would have, if you go to Paris weekend, you would sit outside almost under the canopy with the heater, not even think twice, but you'd never thought you would do it in Ireland. So it's actually great.
So, one of the COVID
direction.
has been horrendous for everybody, but some good things have come out of it.
Very good things, it's a bit of both. Now, and what would be your, your favourite role in your position? What do you love doing most? Probably a difficult question.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a part of it I don't like, which is probably hard to admit. I love the community stuff. I love, groups and what people are doing in their local environment. It's just fab, that kind of people power bit. That's real. And then there's the glamorous pieces as well. The events and all that, and so it's all great. And as people say, God, that's unrealistic. It can't be all great all the time. We all have bad days. But I work with, as I said at the beginning, I work with great people. They're very committed and they're very loyal to the city. You can see that, be it from the street cleaners or people who are out and about doing different tasks in the parks. They're very loyal to the city and they want it to be good.
Which is lovely. And I think, being honest with you, when you have a good team around you, honestly, it makes your life and your work, so isn't it? It just, things fall into place. I'm very fortunate in my business. I have the most incredible team around me, and honestly, without them, I just wouldn't be where I am today, because they give me the inspiration and they help me and they take pressure off me in certain areas.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully they challenge you as well, because I think for all of us, we need people to challenge us.
Yes, for example, today. Yes, they challenge me, Anne. Every day of the week they challenge me. But that's
good. That's good.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah.
And what do you do to relax? I mean, weekends. What do you like to do just to chill out? A woman in your position.
Yeah, I suppose I adore my family, and I'm very fortunate. I have a great husband who has always supported any kind of madness I wanted to pursue. And the kids, so that takes up a lot of time, and then just having some fun with friends. Go for breakfast, go for brunch. A lot of it involves eating. Unfortunately, I should probably involve running more, but anyway. It's about being with and just having some fun.
Yeah, it's so important, Anne, isn't it? And being around good people, nice people, and as you said, family is lovely to have. And at times now you're fit to kill the kids and all of that, but that's normality, right? That's all normal. That's all normal. It sure is. And listen, I just want to say it was a pleasure having you here today.
My pleasure.
You're an absolute gem to talk to, and honestly, you've got such a responsible role, and look at you, as relaxed and as fabulous as always.
That's only, don't judge the inside by the outside. But just thank you, and thank you for the opportunity, because it's great to be able to share with people what's going to happen coming up to Christmas.
I think it's very important for
and wishing you and all of the businesses a very successful season.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you.
My pleasure.